And welcome to Friday's edition of Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. Happy late merry holidays, Christmas, you name it, early New Year's, whatever holiday it is that you prefer to celebrate. Let's just hope that you're having a joyous and healthy one as we count down the final 2 weeks of the regular season. I'm Dottino, he's Matt Citak. We're here for the next hour to talk Giants football with you. They'll be playing in Las Vegas against the Raiders on Sunday afternoon at 4 o'clock. Our phone number is 201-939-4513. 201-939-4513. You can also find us on social media using hashtag Giants Chat. And, of course, you can also follow along, I believe, on the YouTube channel. Are we active and running on that, John, right now? Yes. Yeah, we are. So YouTube is active today. I know sometimes it gets glitchy, but we are active and running up on that today. And we are coming to you from the Giants Podcast Studio, presented by Hackensack Meridian Health. Keep getting better. As far as the status of the players going into this game, we heard earlier in the week, and I know we didn't have a show yesterday on Christmas, but we heard a couple of days ago that the Raiders were going to IR two of their starting players. One in particular is of very much notice, and that would be Brock Bowers, their tight end, and their leading pass receiver. He goes down, and they put him on the list because of a knee injury that's hampered him throughout the year. They finally decided that enough is enough, and so he is no longer available for them this weekend. Jeremy Chinn, pretty darn good defensive back. He's had some injuries over the years. Remember, he was with Carolina when he first came into the league. Good player. Signed a nice contract with the Raiders. He's been nursing a back injury, and they decided a couple of days ago, you know what, let's shut him down too. So Chinn and Bowers, both unavailable, two of the better players on the Raiders roster. Now, I'm going to let Matt talk to you about the updates on the Giants roster, but I do want to throw one other thing out there, and that is Max Crosby, who has not practiced this week, at least up until this morning. Apparently, he's got a sore knee, but he has told the media out in Las Vegas that he's going to play. He's like, there's no way they're sitting me out. I'm playing. Well, he doesn't get to make that decision. Coach Pete Carroll does. We will see what the Raiders decide to do with Crosby, but they have held him out of practice to this point. We will see if he works today. All right, that brings you up to date on the Raiders, because obviously Max Crosby, quite frankly, I think he's by far their best player. Yeah. So we just throw that out there because that guy is a dynamite, one of the best pass rushers in the National Football League. All right, what do you got in the Giants?
Yeah, so for the Giants, there were 5 players that prior to today had not yet taken the practice field. The most notable one, of course, Andrew Thomas, star left tackle. Kafka said that Andrew Thomas will not be practicing today. However, he would not yet rule him out. He said they're still keeping the door, even if it's slightly open, to give him a chance to get on the field Sunday. Personal opinion, if you haven't practiced all week with a hamstring injury, considering the injury history Andrew Thomas had, I'd be more surprised if he actually does suit up and play on Sunday than if he's ruled out. But nonetheless, Kafka would not close the door in case he does improve over the next 24 to 48 hours. So we'll see on him. The other Giants not practicing today, defensive lineman DJ Davidson, who is dealing with both a neck injury and a concussion. Tyler Nubin, who is also dealing with a neck injury. The two of them, again, have not practiced at all this week. We'll see if they're able to suit up. Kafka did not rule anybody out in his pre-practice press conference, so we'll have to see. Maybe some of these guys get ruled out on the injury report in the next couple hours, but for now, the door is still open. And then the last player he mentioned not practicing today, tight end Theo Johnson, who he said just came down with a little illness, will not be practicing today. Based on illness injury designations in the past, I would say there's still a decent chance he's able to play on Sunday. It depends how sick he is. There's some nasty illnesses going around the building, the New York City where I live, so we'll see on him. Kafka did not mention John Michael Schmitz as one of the players not participating, which I think that likely means he's practicing in some capacity. I mean, today, talking to the media, there were not many media members there. It was a very, very, very small crowd. Yes. So there weren't too many questions asked, follow-up questions to Kafka's injury list that he gives out at the beginning of each press conference. But he did not mention John Michael Schmitz. So for now, I'm going to assume that means that Schmitz will be on the practice field today.
He has a finger injury, by the way.
A finger injury, yes. Most likely as a limited participant. And if he is, in fact, on the practice field today, I think that would at least give him somewhat of a chance to be able to suit up for Sunday's game in Las Vegas.
To no one's surprise, when Kafka was asked about Andrew Thomas, he said if he did not go, it would be rookie Marcus Bowe.
Yes.
Who would be the Giants' starting left tackle. And, the Giants are really excited about the flashes that he has shown this year in limited action. And he was even asked, that is, Kafka was asked about, well, do you guys eventually envision him as a guard? Because there was a lot of talk at the Combine that he might eventually project as an NFL guard. Kafka said, no. Right now, we view him as a tackle. He may have guard flex at some point down the road. But the Giants are really happy with what he's done at tackle, and they're focusing all of their efforts on keeping him in that spot. And again, folks, I hate to tell you this, but Jermaine Illuminor is a free agent at the end of the season. And if he doesn't get a number as much as he does want to be here, and he has expressed a tremendous amount of affection for playing for the Giants. He's a New Jersey native. He loves the fan base. He loves the fact, he said to me, he goes, Paul, in the years I played in this league, I have never had a fan base embrace me as the Giants have. He said, I love the fact that they recognize me and that they appreciate the hard work that I put into this job and what I do on the field. He said he's never had that kind of recognition anywhere he has gone. So he does love it here. But he also understands that this is probably his last chance to get a big contract. I mean, he's been in the league a few years, Matt. And if he signs a multi-year deal, which he had never done before this deal with the Giants, that's going to take him now to the other side of 30. And then, sometimes the money gets a little bit sparse for guys at that level. So he does want to be paid appropriately. We will see where that lands. But what I will tell you is this. Marcus Bowe, he's got to have in his mind that there is a chance going into this offseason that he may be the front runner at right tackle. It could happen. You just don't know.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you mentioned what Jermaine told you about being embraced by the fan base. I mean, the reason for that is because between last season and this season, it's the best Jermaine Illuminor has ever played in his career.
He's been good.
And I don't think it's even remotely close. Like, this is the best he's played. So it's not a surprise that he's been embraced by the fan base, but the flip side to that, as you mentioned, this is probably his one chance to really cash in on, what would be considered a big contract, especially for an offensive tackle with how old he is, how long he's been in the league, coming off these seasons, like the seasons he's had. This is probably his chance to cash in. And so we'll see that might end up meaning he's playing for someone else next year. We don't know. Obviously, we hope he's back because he's really been just a steady, consistent anchor on the right side of the line, opposite Andrew Thomas. I mean, the two of them have combined to form probably the best offensive tackle duo this building has seen in
a long time.
Years.
Long time.
Yeah, so
you'd have to go back to probably Deal and Kareem McKenzie.
That's what I was thinking back then, which we don't need no reminders of how long ago that was. So yeah, I mean, we'll see. At the very least, I expect Jermaine to, come out and bring his A game for these final two games. And despite the record of the Raiders, and I know you wanted to talk about this, but there's one guy on that Raiders defense that, it doesn't matter what side he's lined up against, he's going to provide that opposing offensive tackle that he's matched up against each play with one of the toughest matchups they're going to face the entire season, that they will have faced, counting next week too. Like, this guy is an absolute force. And of course, talking about Max Crosby.
Yeah, and he will move.
Yeah.
They will move him around. Now, you would think if Marcus Bowe is playing left tackle, Crosby's going to get a good dose of him.
I would think so.
Okay, I don't think there's any doubt about that. But I'm sure there will be times when they'll also flop him, and he will face his old teammate, Jermaine Illuminor, who during the 2023 season was a teammate of Max Crosby. And as a matter of fact, went up against him in practice quite frequently. Now, I think that to me is a very intriguing matchup. Whenever he goes against Bowe, it's a good matchup because you want to see Bowe tested. if he's going against the Luminor, I just think it ought to be fun to see two former teammates going at it again.
Yeah.
Now, just let me give you a little bit of information here. Illuminor, I've charged him with 6.5 sacks so far this season. And the one thing about it is, for that many sacks, it belies how well he's played, because he really has played well this year. 6.5 is a little bit of a high number, but I just don't think that truly describes for you the quality of play that he's put on the field. One of the issues that he's going to want to clean up, though, is the penalties. He is tied for the NFL lead with 7 false starts. And I get it. You know, there are times where with the different quarterbacks, whether it was Dart, whether it was Winston, whether it was Russell Wilson, cadence is different. I understand that. So with the rotation of having 3 different quarterbacks play this year, the false start thing can be at times a little tricky. So I get that. But certainly that's one thing that Jermaine Illuminor is going to want to clean up as he goes into this offseason, and hopefully he re-signs with the Giants. Now, one thing about Crosby, I want to give you a couple of his numbers because they are relevant. 10 sacks, 11th in the NFL. Tackles for a loss, 28, which is second in the NFL. And he also has 20 quarterback hits. That does not rank in the top 10. But here's what's interesting about Crosby. Teams running right behind right tackle this year against the Raiders, averaging 4.7 yards a rush. And when going off of that edge, 5.3 yards per rush, which says to me that despite the fact that he is a very highly respected player, he may be concentrating a little bit more on his pass rush than he is the rush defense.
Yeah, I mean, I did not know those stats, but yeah, obviously his pass rushing stats are among the best in the league. Not quarterback hits,
he's
but
really good.
20 quarterback hits is nothing to
sneeze at.
Yeah, 100%.
Not at all.
He's clearly, I mean, he just got named his 5th consecutive Pro Bowl. He's a 2-time All-Pro. If you look at, I know you don't like the PFF, some of the PFF metrics, but even PFF doesn't even have him down as, they have him down as a pretty solid run defender as well. I wonder, you just talked about how the Raiders move him from side to side. You were talking about going against,
right,
the edge where he is listed, I believe, as the left edge on the Raiders depth chart.
Correct.
But I wonder how many of those plays was he actually on that edge, because again,
we don't have that ability to dig that deep.
And I've come to learn you cannot just trust fully PFF grades.
Cannot
by
trust
any means,
anybody's grades.
By any means. But they do have him as the 5th ranked edge defender against the run this season. So while I don't trust those numbers completely, that does make me think that stat that you pulled, that must not be, majority of the plays with Crosby lining up there. Because I never thought of him as like a liability in the run game. He's clearly better rushing the passer.
I never have either.
But I didn't think he would be considered a liability running against him.
I suspect some of this yardage may have come on explosive plays at that point, which, obviously warps the average.
For sure.
Just because there may have been a few explosive plays there, he could have been playing really good defense 85% of the time. But if there were a couple of explosive plays right at his spot, well, he's going to get charged with that rushing average.
Yeah.
It's going to hurt him. But I certainly think, clearly, no matter what numbers we're going by, he's a dominant pass rusher. That's the bottom line.
Without a doubt.
So that, to me, is an intriguing matchup to watch in this game. I'll give you another one. Wandale Robinson needs 99 yards to become the 12th player in Giants franchise history to catch 1,000 yards of receptions in a season. Now, here's the interesting part. He needs 99 yards. He's only had 3 100-yard games in his career, and 2 of them came this year against Dallas and Detroit.
Yep.
So it's not a lock that he gets it, but he certainly could.
He's got 2 weeks to do it, too.
No, I'm talking about Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a lock that he gets it Sunday because he's only had 3 100-yard games in his whole career.
For sure.
But he certainly could get it. Now, it's interesting because with Chin out of the lineup, who has done a lot of nickel stuff and has played down in some slot situations, with him out of the lineup, former Giant Darnay Holmes may wind up getting the assignment. Holmes spent 4 years with the Giants, the last 2 years with the Raiders. And if he doesn't go, and there's some debate as to whether or not he will play, or at least will start. We're looking at Greedy Vance, who's an undrafted rookie free agent out of USC. He's only 5'9", 177. And in 4 games this year, playing only 35 snaps, he has given up 3 completions on 5 targets for 36 yards. So he is very green and inexperienced. So will it be Robinson against his former teammate, Darnay Holmes, or a very young green rookie? That could be a very interesting storyline.
Honestly, whoever it is between those 2 corners that's out there, I fully expect Wan'Dale to take advantage of the matchup because, and no offense to Darnay Holmes, but it's not like he's some lockdown slot corner over there. Like you can easily throw on him. And the other guy hadn't even heard of prior to today. So Wan'Dale has been the most consistent wide receiver for the Giants this season. He's been the number 1 option in the passing game.
Mm-hmm.
Frankly, coming off of last week's performance for the offense overall, and especially the passing game. I mean, I know a big storyline this week has been, Jackson Dart, his struggles last week against the Vikings. Like, yes, last week, no doubt about it, was the worst game of Jackson's young NFL career. But for starters, the team clearly went in with a run-heavy game plan.
Yes.
I mean, he didn't attempt his first pass until the second quarter. Didn't complete his first pass until right before halftime.
Did you see what the Vikings defense did to the Lions yesterday?
Yeah. Brian Flores is one of the best defensive play callers in the NFL. I think that much is very clear and obvious. So while I don't, you can't just throw away last week's performance and pretend like it didn't happen, but I think that was more about the matchup than, Jackson and this offense overall. But regardless, point being that I expect Jackson to come out and try to call it a statement game, if you will, but show people that last week was the outlier game and the rest of his performances he's had this season, that's more of the Jackson Dart that you're going to get week in and week out. And as we've seen all season, the biggest beneficiary to Jackson Dart having a good game is Wan'Dale Robinson. So I don't think it matters too much which of those slot corners are going to be starting for Las Vegas. I think Jackson is going to target Wan'Dale early and often, and I'm not going to say that Wan'Dale's going to get the 99 yards in this week alone because, as you mentioned, he's only at 300-yard games in his career. But I wouldn't be surprised if he gets awfully close this week and then tops it off pretty early on next week against Dallas.
Interesting number from Sports Radar, and I know that the different services grade these things differently, so I'm not going to pretend that it's a cemented number. But nonetheless, it is a number that Sports Radar has. The Raiders with 116 missed tackles on the season, 3rd most in the NFL. Well, if there's one guy who we know can force you to miss tackles, Wan'Dale Robinson has been in the top 5 all season long in terms of NFL wide receivers forcing missed tackles. So this could be a really nice game for Robinson. So I mentioned that. The other matchup that I find really intriguing and interesting, which I'm going to be watching very, very closely, the Giants' 2 edge rushers against the 2 Raiders tackles. Now, it's not so much an interesting storyline as much as it is one that makes me salivate. Because Brian Burns, with his career-high 15 sacks, 2nd in the NFL, Abdul Carter now with sacks in 3 consecutive games, they'll be going up against Stone Forsythe, who is the left tackle for the Raiders, and shares the NFL lead for most sacks given up this year with 8. Now, Forsythe was with the Seahawks for 4 years. In the offseason, he signed with the Giants. Remember, we had him here during camp.
He was here all summer.
Got cut right before opening day, was invited to the practice squad, and Pete Carroll said, no, I had him in Seattle. I want him here with Las Vegas. Signed him onto the 53. He hasn't been bad run blocking. He's a 6'7", very tall, big, bulky frame kind of tackle. But he has a lot of trouble with speed rushers and athleticism and foot speed. It's just, it's rough. He was brought here to try to compete with James Hudson and to potentially be some more insurance in case Marcus Bowe didn't work out. Well, guess what? He didn't make the cut. And he's starting for the Raiders and has had a very rough season. On the other side is DJ Glaze. 2nd-year player. Has been playing right tackle for the first 2 years of his career. has trouble with foot speed, has trouble with athleticism, guys off the edge. He's given up six sacks this year, tied for 9th most in the National Football League. Again, according to that comes by virtue of Stats Inc. So now, Glaze has already showed the Raiders folks that he's not a real solid tackle because they are already talking about moving him to guard next year. And anytime that conversation takes place, you know that means they're not particularly happy with the way it's going for him right now. So think about this. Forsythe and Glaze against Burns and Carter. Folks, I got to be honest with you. I'm looking forward to that matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I think Brian Burns and Abdul Carter, just the two of them going up against any tackle duo would be one of the most, intriguing matchups on a week in and week out basis, just because obviously Burns leads the NFC with 15 sacks. He's been tremendous all season. Abdul, slow start to the season.
Sure.
No doubt about it, but has really turned things around since that first quarter benching against the Patriots right before the bye week. Has a sack in each game. I believe it's like 13 or 14 pressures over this 3-game stretch. Like, he has looked like the Abdul Carter that we all thought we were getting from day one. He's looked like it the last couple of weeks. But you're 100% right. Going up against this tackle duo, according to PFF, Stone Forsythe is credited with 11 sacks allowed on the season.
They go for 11. Stats Inc. says only 8.
They have him down for 11, which ranks 83rd out of 83 qualifying tackles. Moving over to DJ Glaze, they have him with 9 sacks allowed, which they have ranked 81st out of 83 qualified tackles. So
Stats Inc. says 6. So these guys have been a little tougher in terms of those two grades.
They've been a little tougher. But at least according to PFF, Brian Burns and Abdul Carter will be going up against the two of the 3 tackles that have given up the most sacks on the season.
By either analytics numbers, these two guys have had a hard time this year.
Yes.
That's the bottom line.
100%. And we've seen Brian Burns, take advantage of even tough matchups. He's been able to get after the quarterback.
No doubt.
And the last couple of weeks, we've seen Abdul, regardless of who he's matched up against, be able to really wreak havoc and affect the quarterback, whether it's sacks, pressures, forcing throwaways, whatever it may be. He's been getting after the quarterback. So I'm with you. I think this is a fantastic matchup for those two. For Brian Burns to, keep building on his NFC sack leaderboard. He's not going to match Myles Garrett at this point, unfortunately. Myles Garrett has pulled away and I believe is 7 sacks ahead of Burns. But Burns can go a long way in extending his NFC lead. And
sure.
I think Abdul has a very good opportunity to make it 4 straight games with a sack. We spoke a couple of weeks ago about how of course, Jackson's continued development continues to be one of the biggest, if not the biggest priority and thing to watch over the end of the season. But a couple of weeks ago, we talked about how pretty close second place in terms of priority list would be seeing how Abdul finishes the season. And if he 100%. Can really take that performance in the last 3 quarters against the Patriots, build on it, and really get some momentum going in this final month of the season. So far, he has done just that. And he has an amazing chance to keep it going one more week against the Raiders.
Now, those of you who have not paid attention to the Raiders this season probably are saying, well, wait a minute, what happened to Colton Miller? Former number 1 draft pick out of UCLA, who's a solid right tackle. Well, 1 month into the season, he got hurt. Now, he has gotten back to practice.
Yes.
They activated him for practice a couple of weeks ago. So there is some potential that he could play Sunday. We don't know the answer to that yet.
He's been listed as limited on Wednesday and Thursday.
So, what does Pete Carroll do? I don't know. Does he try to get Miller into a game? He's got 2 weeks left. Does he try to get him into a game before the offseason starts? Or does he just say, my man, take it easy? But then why would they have brought him back to practice if they weren't going to try to get him into a game?
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's a chance that maybe they just wanted to get him back around the team, get him a couple weeks of practice.
Could be.
I mean, obviously the Raiders are looking at the same record as the Giants right now, so it's not like they're playing for much other than pride these last 2 weeks. So logic would kind of say they wouldn't bring him back, but when Pete Carroll, I think he last spoke about this like a month ago, he said they intended to bring him back. So I think if he's medically cleared, there is a chance he gets activated, today or tomorrow, and we see him out there on Sunday.
I want to see how he does today. Is he still limited or is he full? That's going to be a big deal, I think.
Yeah.
He's got an ankle injury, by the way, folks. I'm sorry if I forgot to mention that before. All right. That's what we got. We should also mention the Giants Huddle podcast is available, as always, each and every week. All kinds of interviews with the Giants and NFL personnel. John does a great job with that. Matt, do we happen to know if there's anything special up this week on that program?
I don't think it's posted yet, but later today, John, his weekly huddle, I believe, was with Wan'Dale Robinson. So that will be posted at some point this afternoon.
How perfect is that? Possible 1,000-yard man.
Yeah. I know we posted a few things earlier in the week before Christmas. We did have a new episode of the Eli Manning Show. Eli and Sean went to New York City, One World Trade Center, and met with Hugh Jackman and Kate Hudson, the stars of the new movie Song Sung Blue, the Neil Diamond tribute band movie.
Mm-hmm.
So that new episode is up. I would recommend giving it a watch. Very entertaining.
And if you didn't see the clip, the promo clip for it, Hugh Jackman's a huge Giants and Eli Manning fan.
Oh, yeah. He's a big Giants fan.
Big time.
John had a new draft season with Tony Pauline earlier in the week. They did Tony's 2-round mock draft. I know a lot of you probably have your eyes set on that already.
Tony salivates over this stuff every single month of the year.
So if you want some early draft content, that's another good video to check out.
All right, folks, and now we get to your phone calls at 201-939-4513. It's T in New Jersey. You are first up on Big Blue Kickoff Live. Hello.
Hey, fellas, how you guys doing?
Very well, sir. Happy holiday.
How are you?
Thanks. Well, I mean, I'm good, but as far as my football mental state, it's not good, man. Not good. I don't understand. When is it going to end? Our Giants, man. It's been over a decade now, man, and it's just like we're constantly in the first half of the draft. We're always looking for the first pick. We're switching GMs and coaches. Like we lost our way. What really happened? It's like, when is it going to end?
Yeah, I understand the frustration. The only thing I can say is that just be a little bit careful to overemphasize the misery, because there have been 2 playoff appearances in the last decade. And there are teams.
2 playoff appearances.
Well, yeah, but you know what?
I mean,
you just said they're picking high every year. Well, there were 2 years they made the playoffs, and 1 year they actually won a game, as opposed to the Jets, who have the longest active streak without being in the playoffs. So be a little careful, but I do understand the misery. I do get it. I do get it.
Yeah, because our standard is so much higher.
Absolutely. No question about it. I get that. I get that.
And it's just like, man, come on, man. You're watching football, exciting football this weekend. Everyone's like jockeying for position, and it's exciting. And then we look at.
See, the one thing I would say, too, a little bit of a pushback on this, exciting football. With the Giants being in so many of these games, haven't you watched into the fourth quarter of these games thinking that they had a chance to win? I mean, it's not like they're getting blown out every week.
2 games. I mean,
here's the thing. All right. I get it. Are you old enough to remember the Yale Bowl?
Oh man, I'm in my 40s.
Okay.
I'm in my 40s.
All right. So what I'm telling you is, when the Giants were playing at the Yale Bowl, that was truly mud slop football. It was horrible. You knew every Sunday they were going to get hammered. I know you're a little young, but your grandfather will tell you. Your grandfather will tell you. And I'm not joking when I tell you, you knew at halftime they weren't going to come back. The whole second half was just going to be an exercise in futility. You watched it because you were a fan, but it was brutal. It was like having root canal. This team is not like root canal. They hurt you like a gut punch because they blow games in the final moments. That's a little different than root canal.
Yeah, but it does think. But the league is set up for people to go from worst to first. How many times have we seen that? And we're always worst. Like, where are we going to be first? We do not compete in our division. Our last divisional win was 2011. We constantly get beat by the Cowboys. Every now and then, 3 wins against the Eagles in that time? Like, like, if we haven't won at the Lincoln since 2013, I mean, when is it going to stop, man?
I hear you. Look.
Also, before you guys hang up,
yes, sir.
Paul, look, man, I listen to you, we see, and I know you read the chat and everything. Come on, man. Wilson, you can't hang up on Wilson like that. Wilson's frustrated just like all of us. I know you, the listen. I get it, but he's just frustrated, man. We all frustrated. We want to win.
It's all good. It's all good. You be good, T. Thanks for calling.
Have a good one.
You too. Please call again.
Look, I understand where you're coming from, T. I mean, the thing that every single NFL franchise, every franchise in sports pursues, the goal is to have sustained success. And obviously, that has not happened here. And not even close. I'm not going to lie. Obviously, it's not even close. And there's not much I or we can say to, make any of you guys watching feel better about that. Obviously, we're as disappointed as everyone else in this building is about it. All we can hope is that going into this offseason, where there will obviously, be some changes, some big changes from this season to next season, all we can do is hope that whoever is brought in to, be the head coach of this team can lead this team and take us to the place where we all want to be, that sustained success. And I know right now, based on how, especially these last couple of seasons have gone, that seems like so far-fetched and out of reach. But literally today, the NFL put a tweet out about year one head coaches this season. 3 head coaches from around the NFL that turned a organization that was in a similar situation to where the Giants are right now into a playoff team in 1 year. There's the Patriots, who were 4-13 last year. They are now 12-3 and have a chance at the number 1 seed in the AFC. There's the Chicago Bears, who were 5-12 last year, and they are now 11-4 with 2 games left, with a chance to win the division and also a chance for the number 1 seed in the NFC. And the Jacksonville Jaguars, who were 4-13 last year, hired Liam Cohen. They are now 11-4. I'm not saying the Giants are on this path, because obviously these are the positive, far end of the spectrum in the positive way of possibilities that could happen. But I'm just bringing this up to show that it can happen. Whoever is brought in to lead this team will obviously be I know we said this 4 years ago, but the most important hire in a very long time for this organization. Hopefully this time, the team gets it right, brings the right guy in to lead this locker room, and whoever else is brought in to add to the locker room heading into next year. But I get the frustration. Look, I'm frustrated too. This is my 7th season here, and yes, we had that one playoff season, but every other season has been 6 wins or fewer. I hate it as well. Paul hates it. Paul hates it probably more than anyone. We're all frustrated. So I'm not trying to, turn this into a positive spin, because I understand there's not a whole lot to be positive about. But all you can do is, hope that whoever's hired can help turn this thing around, because there are some pieces that are already on this team, some pieces to this roster that you can build around and build a strong foundation around and get to that level of sustained success that we're all hoping to get to.
I mean, heck, the Carolina Panthers actually could win the division this year too.
Yeah, but that's like a
tough division.
The NFC South.
Yeah,
that's like a fake division. That would be like in 2020.
Tough
in 2020, when
predict.
Washington won the division with 7 wins. That's kind of how I look at the NFC South.
All right, and that's fine. The point being, though, that it's not like lightning in a bottle. There are a number of examples, even obviously the Commanders last year, who totally flipped the switch.
Yeah.
It is now doable in the National Football League to have that kind of impact when a new administration comes in. And, if you've got some of the proper pieces in place, it certainly makes it easier for that new administration to make that turnaround that we're talking about. So I get it. You're frustrated, but don't give up on hope. One guy who never gives up on hope, although sometimes he's a little delayed with it, is Len from Columbia, Maryland, and he is next on our program. Hello, Len.
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for the compliment, Paul.
Happy holiday, my man.
Yeah, happy holidays to you. I missed you guys last week, so Merry Christmas and
you too.
Happy New Year to you. All the best, guys. All the best. Look, I'm looking for a win on Sunday. I'm not the only one that needs a win. I think the entire entity known as the New York Football Giants, top to bottom, needs a win badly.
Mm-hmm.
The organization needs to win a game. I've never remember feeling like this about the organization as a whole. But, boy, you start at the top and you move all the way down through to the locker room, and these guys are working hard. Everybody's trying. Everybody's working hard. We got to come out of the next two games with a win. Hopefully both of them, but I think Sunday may be an opportunity. A good opportunity, I should say. One ex-Giant that you missed in talking about the Raiders, their punt returner, Alec
Bachman.
Bachman, right?
Yeah, he's a former Giant. Yes, he is.
Former wide receiver with us.
Yep.
How about that?
He was here for a few years
ex-Giant.
on the practice squad. He kept hanging around and then finally had enough.
Yeah.
Yes, sure. I'm glad he found work and is
absolutely
living out the dream. Certainly living out the dream. The only other thing I got, other than I'm hoping for a win on Sunday, and I'd like your guys' opinion on this, please. To what degree do you think the uncertainty surrounding this team, top to bottom, throughout the organization, there's just a lot of question. It's not just who's going to play right tackle next year. This goes top to bottom in football operations. Do you think in any shape, manner, or form, we can't buy insurance. People buy insurance to cut into the uncertainty in their life.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that has any effect at all on, the play on the field? That nobody knows. We don't know anything about next year.
Well,
Landy,
the only thing I'll give you this take, because I was talking to one of the veteran players the other day in the locker room, and I'm not going to name his name; it's not important.
Okay, sure.
But I was talking to him, and I asked him about what some of the narrative is outside the building, like, why do you guys still play hard? Why do you still want to win? I said it's amazing how many people don't understand what you guys are feeling in this locker room and how badly I know you guys want to win. And the only thing I can say is, as he said to me, we don't even know how many guys are going to be on this roster next year. And quite frankly, how many guys might not even be in the league next year.
I know.
Because there are guys on the bottom of every NFL roster who are clinging for their NFL lives on a depth chart, who, if they get cut by one team, may not even get a chance with another team. That nothing is guaranteed. Yeah. Just because you're a pro football player, it doesn't mean you get another chance. So his comment to me was, for anybody who thinks that we don't want to win, they don't understand that facet whatsoever. Because we're playing for this week. We're playing for this game. We're playing for ourselves. And we're playing to feel good about all the work that we put in.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So I appreciate your thought about a lot of uncertainty. Yes, that's true. But there's one thing that I am certain of. These players want to win. And they are competitors. And they're putting their best foot forward. Because here's the other problem, man. If you don't go out there and play your you-know-what to the wall, you also run the risk of getting seriously injured.
Yeah. No, I don't doubt anything about what you said. I'm just talking about the stress. It's not only whether or not they're going to have a job, whether their friend is going to have a job, who their position coach is going to be, who the head coach is going to be, who the general manager is going to be. It's surrounded. There's nothing. I think the first thing is things have to, into the off season, and it's probably going to last that long, things have to settle down rather quickly. We've got to get into to be able to get off the mat, you need to feel like there's some answers there. Like, who's my position coach going to be?
Len,
and
if I may,
the general manager, and
if I may address
the
that point,
suite too. What decisions do they make? I would think that from a stress standpoint, it's tough on the whole organization. And talk about not knowing where their next job is coming from. Paul, Stone, Forsythe. Oh my goodness. The guy can't play in the NFL. I'm just shocked. Well, he can play because he is, but
yes, there's only 32 teams.
I'm just shocked that this guy is still in the NFL.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't want to pick on Stone, but you're right. We saw him in camp, and he was not able to make the cut. So, but let me go back a minute, 30 seconds. Let me go back 30 seconds, Len.
He can't play at this level.
All
Let
right.
me say one other thing, and thank you for giving me the time.
Go ahead.
I'm looking for Jackson Dart to have a really positive game on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see a little, I want to see 250 yards. I want to see a couple of touchdowns, maybe one running, but I want to see a couple of touchdowns. I want to see that 65%. I want to see him in control of things on Sunday and start to, stop the foolishness of people talking about this guy can't play. He's had a tough, no, I don't want to say tough, but, a couple of weeks that weren't great, and there are reasons for it, but I want to see him assert himself these last 2 weeks,
mm-hmm.
and just keep everybody quiet about the quarterback position. Hey, looking forward to the game on Sunday. Paul, you going to Vegas?
Sure.
As usual?
Sure.
Good for you.
It's
And,
warmer.
Listen, we'll talk next week. And, hey, go Giants. We got to get a win. We need a win badly.
We'll talk to you.
Thank you, Len.
Let me run this by you.
Yep.
It goes to Len's point. The one thing that I would love to see the Giants do, and I don't know if it's possible, but I think it's optimal if they can, as soon as they can get this thing cleaned up after the season is over, strike quickly with whatever it is that they're going to do, whatever decisions they want to make regarding the head coach, the GM, the staff, whatever it is, strike quickly. Because we've seen on occasion that, when you don't strike quickly, and especially if you're waiting for somebody who's in the playoffs, it does tend to have an impact on who's available and then who you can fill out your staff with. And we've seen this happen over the last decade with the Giants, that before you know it, time passes by, and if you haven't got all those ducks in order and you haven't gotten them filled, you won't necessarily get the guys who you've prioritized. And that does have an impact.
Yeah, it certainly does. The one thing I'll say that, puts the Giants at I would say a slight advantage over maybe other teams that still have their head coach in place, but, intend on firing the head coach come the end of the season, is Brian Daboll was let go at this point, 6 weeks ago? Something like that, around that, over a month ago. Like, the Giants have had ample opportunity to put that list together of guys that they are interested in bringing in, at the very least for an interview.
Mm-hmm.
Put that list together, do whatever, background research you want to do into these guys, whatever it is that goes on behind the scenes, because there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes.
No doubt.
They have had ample time to do all of that. So I'm hoping come, was it January 5th or the day after, whenever our last game is, it still hasn't been announced.
Right.
That day after, it's, interview requests begin, or the guys that don't need requests, like those interviews start right away is what I'm hoping. Because I agree with you. There's definitely not, I would say there's no advantage to waiting. It could only potentially hurt you to wait. I don't want to say deep into the off season, but the sooner you can get those decisions done and just start building the team, and it starts the coaching staff, front office, whatever it might be, the locker room, the sooner you can begin to start building it, obviously the better, because it gives more time for everyone to really just start meshing and getting on the same page before we even get to the offseason workout program, which is really step one in, the 2026 season.
See, I'm not going to mention the team's name, but you all know who I'm talking about. They went through like 24 different head coaching candidates for their vacancy recently. I think you guys know who. And it was like, are you kidding me? I mean, how can you throw a bedspread that wide and not have any idea of what it is that you're looking for and what you want? To me, that's analysis by paralysis. That's just, you're holding yourself up. You're holding up the process, and you're taking a chance that some guys who you'd really want to have in the building, whether or not they're head coaches, coordinators, or position coaches, aren't going to be available by the time you get to your decision.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. I mean, I will say in my opinion, there's two pretty big differences between the Giants right now going into, this upcoming head coach search as opposed to the one that went the process 4 years ago. There's two big differences. Mm-hmm. One is Jackson Dart.
Yeah.
He hasn't had a perfect rookie season by any means, but from all accounts, he seems to be a young quarterback that a lot of upcoming head coach candidates will want to work with.
And certainly Mike Kafka does if he gets to stay.
100%.
He's very happy to work with him.
100%. But, I mean, even if you read all these reports from whether it's local beat reporters, national reporters, everyone seems to be on the same page in terms of Jackson Dart being here, going into year 2 of a rookie contract is a plus for the Giants. And 4 years ago, it was the opposite. The Giants had Daniel Jones at that point going into the last year of his rookie deal. Big question mark. He hadn't really played too well at that point. So that was one big difference. The quarterback position, which obviously is the most important position in sports.
Sure.
The second one is 4 years ago when Joe Schoen took over the Giants were in cap hell, is how everyone phrased it. Mm-hmm. They were in a very bad situation financially in terms of the salary cap that year, that offseason, and moving forward. This time around, you could say what you want about some of the moves that have been made over the last 2 years, but Joe Schoen has done a good job of getting the Giants in a good cap situation.
A much better
situation.
It's not awesome, but it's much better.
No. It's not amazing. The Giants have some cap space going into this offseason. They have the capability of clearing more. Mm-hmm. They still wouldn't be close to the most cap space in the NFL, no doubt about it. But most of the money is on the books just for this upcoming year. If you were to jump to 2027,
right,
all of a sudden you're looking at a significant chunk of cap space. And all I'm saying is that the Giants are in a better cap situation to make it more appealing of a vacancy for someone to come in and take over as head coach, because they can see whether it's this offseason and next offseason, the Giants have the capability of adding some serious talent to this roster. Even if it's going to be costly, they have the capability of doing it, which 4 years ago, I don't know if people remember that 2022 offseason, the Giants could not make any moves that offseason. They were in such bad cap situation. I think the one signing they made for more than like the minimum was Mark Lewinsky, who had basically guaranteed money for 1 year on his deal, and that was it. I think they signed him to like $5, $6, $7 million a year was the reported number, and that was the biggest contract they were able to give out.
Yep.
I'm not saying the Giants are going to go on some huge spending spree this offseason, but they have the capability of going out and adding some more significant pieces, which was not the case 4 years ago. So whoever it is that's making all the decisions this offseason will be in a better situation than 4 years ago.
Speaking of Jackson Dart, that was one topic that came up during the briefings today with the coordinators. Tim Kelly is currently the Giants' OC. Mike Kafka, obviously the interim head coach. Both of them were asked about Jackson Dart's planned rushing attempts over the course of the last 3 weeks since he had been in the protocol. And what they were curious about was, have you guys consciously cut back on the number of planned runs in the game plan? And they said no. In fact, Kafka said all the stuff was still there, and so did Kelly, and that it's game flow. It's the matchup. It's the scheme the opponent's playing, and they are obviously adjusting to his legs. Let's not kid ourselves. Teams have adjusted to Jackson Dart and taken away some of his improvisational abilities. And so now he, as any rookie, has to counter-adjust. We get that. That's part of the growing process. But they were making it very clear that they have not necessarily pulled back on his game plan books because of any supposed lingering issues with a concussion.
Yeah.
I mean,
I got nothing to add. Yeah.
No, I mean, and I think that's important because a lot of people have been asking about it, and I know some of the writers have been curious about it, and they think that Dart is got like handcuffs on him. But no, let's give credit to a terrific Vikings defense for putting the shackles on him. We told you last week that was going to be a huge test for him, and it was, because they are really good. Look what they did to Goff last night. Yeah. And even a couple of weeks ago, Vrabel's Patriots defense played incredibly well. They were also overzealous.
They came out with their hair on fire.
They really did.
They clearly wanted to make a statement.
And a stick of dynamite up there, you know what? I mean, they were really balling out. And so, he's had Dart in his last 3 games. I would agree that he has not been as impressive as he was earlier in the season. I would agree with that. Part of it, I think, is this is more on tape. Part of it is he's played a couple of really good defenses in the Patriots and the Vikings. I would also suggest to you that part of it also is the weather conditions. He's had to learn how to adapt. And in fact, I was talking about this with John earlier. Some of his long ball accuracy seems to have faded just a bit. And we've talked to the players after the games. And while they're not making excuses, they have said the wind at the Meadowlands and certainly up in Foxborough in that night game, it was impactful. And he, as a rookie quarterback, is going to have to learn how to better navigate that stuff. That's part of what his learning curve is. Jackson, it's not always going to be real nice. You played in Utah as a kid. You told us how rough it was there during some of the winters. Okay, guess what? We have that here too.
Yep.
And you're going to have to learn how to play the cold and how to play the wind in the Meadowlands, because that's a different animal. It's a different animal. I remember Phil Simms used to talk about it all the time. And he loved the fact that he knew how to play this building. Well, the old building, not this building. And that's a big deal. And how sometimes, he would chuckle when an opposing team would come in here and he'd watch the ball flutter. They had absolutely no idea how to deal with it. It is something he's got to grow into.
Yeah, and I do think that is something he will, grow accustomed to, like we've seen other quarterbacks do in the past, other Giants quarterbacks. But just going back to last week, even more so than that, I think, and again, I already said that was the worst performance of his young career last week.
Mm-hmm.
He, basically said it himself. He knows he's not oblivious, but I don't think we can just completely, overlook the fact that come the second half of that game, Jackson Dart was playing behind an offensive line, 60% of which was new, that he has not played behind for basically the entire season. John Runyon was somewhat of a surprise inactive because his wife was in labor and gave birth. And then pretty quickly, Andrew Thomas got hurt, and then John Michael Schmitz got hurt. So come the second half, 3 of the 4 offensive linemen were new. And, the reason, we've spoken about how the offensive line has played pretty dang well all season, better than a lot of people, probably expected them to play this year. The biggest reason for that has been the continuity of the 5 guys. Those 5 starters have played so much together. However, we saw last week for basically the first time all season, a lot of, the turning carousel that we've seen the last couple of years up front. We saw that happen in one game, and then all of a sudden, Jackson got sacked. What was he, sacked 5 times last week? Mm-hmm. Constantly under pressure.
Now, I had 3 of them being his fault.
A lot of it also goes towards that defense, because that is a defense that gets after every quarterback they face, and they make it very tough, even for long-time veteran quarterbacks. Brian Flores makes it tough. But when you have that, and you add in the fact that it was 3 new offensive linemen in there, guys that have not played together all season, it doesn't surprise me at all that he had his worst game of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the thing that we have to see is how he bounces back.
Well, he's inside this week, so I don't want to hear about weather.
The weather won't be a factor. John Runyon is back.
Mm-hmm.
because, of course, again, not an injury from last week. We'll remain to be seen about Thomas and Schmitz, but even if those guys are not playing on Sunday, the backups have had all week to play because Thomas has not practiced at all. Schmitz sounds like today will be limited in the first time he's getting on the field. So Marcus Bowe and Austin Schlottman, they've had all week to take reps with the other starters. Granted, it's not quite the same as getting game reps altogether, but it's better than last week when, 3 of the 5 guys that played more than half of the game were thrown out there without taking any first-team reps all week.
Mm-hmm.
So this will be, I don't want to call it a good test for Jackson because this Raiders defense doesn't come close to what he faced last week against the Vikings defense, but it will be good to see how and if he's able to bounce back from some adversity that he's faced basically for the first time in his young career. Like there were questions about, is Jackson really the guy because of one bad game, which first of all is absurd. Everyone has a bad game, and especially when you add in all those other factors. But regardless, how he bounces back this week, even if it's not against the best defense, just seeing him bounce back and have a big game, I think would just go a long way. And first of all, just shutting all of those ridiculous comments and questions, shutting them out, which they shouldn't have even been asked in the first place.
As offensive coordinator Tim Kelly said today, there's no doubt that he has scuffled, but everybody has a hand in this. From the offensive line, as you said, some of the changes because of the injuries. Also,
the drops.
And he said, all of us have had issues of not helping him out more in these last couple of games. I've got my film study with the Giants at 34 drops, 5 of which were touchdowns, and 17 of which were beyond the first down sticks. That is awful.
Yeah.
Some of them were Wilson's. Some of them were Winston's passes. They weren't all darts. But, man, these guys have got to do a better job of helping out Dart by finishing the plays. When he puts that ball there, they got to finish more of those plays. Because all it does is compound the problems when you don't. Anyway.
Real quick, just got to mention this matchup before we go.
Yeah, sure.
A little bit of history in this matchup. Unfortunately, not the best history. But you got to at least acknowledge it.
You're going for the shortest kickoff return ever?
No.
Oh, okay, good.
I'm going on this matchup Sunday.
We're not going to address what I just said.
The Giants, obviously,
it's a nightmare.
2-13. The Raiders, also 2-13.
Yeah.
Only the third time in NFL history that 2 teams are playing against each other with both teams 11 games under 500. At least 11 games under 500.
Yeah.
And the first time since 1991. But even more so than that is the first matchup in NFL history with 2 teams entering into a game with single season losing streaks of 9 games or more. Because they both teams are coming into this game on a 9-game losing streak. So something's got to give. Someone's going to win this game.
Except there are ties in regular season.
I know. I was going to say, I didn't even want to put that out there.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it is a reality. It can happen.
It can happen. We've seen it happen multiple times in the last couple of years. But
all right.
Yeah, it's not exactly the best history, but it is history nonetheless.
Yes. That will do it for this edition of Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants, coming to you from the Hackensack Meridian Health podcast studio. And I'll tell you something, folks. I know it's tough, but there is a game on Sunday, and I do invite you to try to enjoy it. It's a 4:00 kickoff, okay? Means 2:00 WFAN pregame show, followed by the game at 4, followed by MSG's live 1-hour postgame, and then also the game. And when it's over, there is the 2-hour live WFAN postgame show on the radio. We hope you join us. We hope you enjoy the game. We hope you have a safe weekend, and we will be back with another edition of Big Blue Kickoff Live next Monday. For Matt Citak, I'm Paul Dottino. We'll see you next time.